As I reflect on my very own precious mother this Mother's Day, many of you know her and some of you don't, but Mother Maria J. Brown. As I reflect on my mother, and it's no secret to you all how I feel about my mother, my mother was just the sweetest, kindest person that you want to meet. She was just a sweetheart. She was a hard worker. She was faithful. She was loyal. She was just everything to us. I was raised in a single parent home, and my mother went to work every morning. She had to be there at 7, and she was supposed to get off at 3:30, but most days she worked overtime, so she worked till like 6 and 6:30 every evening, because she had 5 girls. I am the 4th out of 5 girls, so I'm like in that middle, and I just remember admiring her work ethic and how she was able to just work, and like they say, I can bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan. Well, that's exactly what she did. She worked hard, to support her girls. And imagine having 5 girls and all the type of different needs that a girl has that boys don't. And you know what? With God's help, Mama and her Jesus, Mama held it down and she made it happen. I remember a really fond memory that every year when school started, she was able, as a single mother now, and this was back in the 60s and 70s, she was able to take us school shopping. Now, single mom, remember, single mom. She was able to take us school shopping to buy new school clothes every September. And I mean, I remember that we would go downtown and we would go to Franklin's and Learners, and we just had a blast. She had got her a couple credit cards to those stores so that she could dress her girls the best way that she could. And let me tell you, I was styling and profiling, all right, at that young age. But I just remember just admiring how she was able to do that for us. As I said, she was a very hard worker. Of course, there were some things coming up that we didn't always have that others had because they had 2-parent homes. So of course they made more money. But you know what? We always had what we need. And the thing that we really, really had was love. And that love just covered everything. What she couldn't do here and there, whatever, we had that love and we had that unity in our home. And there was never a time that I didn't feel loved by my mother. Even when she disciplined me, I mean, I didn't like it when I got disciplined, but who likes it when, they're being disciplined? But I knew that she loved me. And one thing that I remember as I got older, and this is something that is it's kind of an emotional thing. When my mother passed, I remember saying, one thing I know is that my mother was proud of me. And when I tell you that just meant the world to me, that I knew that she was proud of me. I remember the first year that we had what was that celebration that we had? It was a Christmas celebration that the kids came in. They had little costumes on, and we had a choir, and I read to the children, and my mother was able to attend. And my sister said afterwards, she said, "Cindy, Mama sat there and cried the whole time." And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yes." So when I encountered my mother, I said, "Mama, why did you cry?" And she said, "I was just so proud of you." And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, for her to just say that to me and know that she was proud of me. My mother was very proud of the woman that God had helped me become. And she loved Bishop like her own son, because my mother didn't have any natural boys. She was a bonus mom to the 3 boys later in life when she remarried, but she didn't have any boys of her own. And so she loved Bishop like a son of her own. And she was so proud of Bishop. And, when he became a pastor, and as he went up the ranks to elder and district elder and then suffragan bishop, and now he's a bishop, Mama was so proud. And she was like, wow. And I raised the bishop's wife. So she was proud of me, and that's something that will forever, ever, ever just remain in me and always just make me feel good. Of course, I wasn't a perfect child. Nobody is a perfect child. But I tried to be as good as I could so that I wouldn't give my mother any problems, because I remember thinking, she's got 5 girls, and I don't need her worrying about me acting up. I need to do my best to just be cool and be a good kid so she didn't have to worry about Cynthia. And that was what I determined at a very young age. And God helped me to do that. All right, now on to some memories I have of my mother. My mother worked at a laundry, and she was, I don't even know what her title was, but she was the head person in there that handled all the linens and towels and things for all the big major hotel chains in Phoenix. So in the summertime, after I turned 13, I went and I got me a little summer job, and I worked and made my little money. And I remember every payday was Wednesday. So Wednesday payday, we knew we were either going to go to Pete's Fish and Chips. Whataburger was a new thing that had opened. We were going to go to Whataburger, or we were going to go to El Molino. And we look forward to that. El Molino was Mexican food, and we look forward to that. And that's just something that has always stuck with me and just meant a lot to me and my sisters to be able to do that. And she just made it a point. She had to budget her money always, so she always budgeted so she could take us out to eat on Wednesdays. That's a favorite memory of mine. And I appreciate God for allowing me to be birthed by Maria Hyman. All right, so that's my story. I could go on and on. You all that know me know I could talk about my mama all day and all night, but I don't have that kind of time. So let me just wish all of you wonderful, amazing, and awesome mothers. Let me just wish you a happy Mother's Day from the bottom of my heart. You're holding it down. You keeping it down. You're doing it. You hold your families down. You're doing bettering yourself. And I applaud you, and I admire you, and I salute you. Happy Mother's Day. I love you all with Jesus' love. I love you to life. Mwah, mwah, mwah. It won't always be like this. So that's what turns your pain into power.
Yes.
Because you kept hearing, it won't always be like this. I can take this step. It won't always be like this. I can take that step. It won't always be like this. Now I can climb.
Yes.
It won't always be like this. Now I can rise a little more. It won't always be like this. Now I can get ready for takeoff. It won't always, now I can fly. Some of us have been blessed to have amazing mothers and experiences that will carry us through our entire lifetime. But how many of you know that the hands that are dealt aren't always the same? Evangelist Francine Reynolds shares her childhood and how she turned her pain into power. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and about your relationship with your mom.
Well, actually, even as a little kid, I knew that my mom didn't like me.
Okay.
And I would stay away from her. I basically tried to stay out of her way because even at that age, I knew that there was just something that wasn't right. And when I would listen to her talk about, because she never really talked to me, she yelled at me.
Wow.
I mean, I cannot recall a conversation.
Wow.
I just remember being hollered at. So I would escape by the heat register with my cloth dowels and any magazine that I could get a hold of.
Oh, it's interesting.
So as things went on down through the years, I could be 9, 10, 11, 12. I stayed out of her way. I just knew that there wasn't anything there. But when she did want to communicate, it would be in the evening. And the only thing that I really remembered that I enjoyed, she would tell us stories.
Okay.
She was an excellent storyteller. And she was very artistic. She could tie the most beautiful bows, make the most beautiful arrangements. She could put together such a way to dress a living room and a kitchen, and she would have plates on the wall. And it was just, to me, that was something I really enjoyed. So that was one of the things that I remember about her the most. And the way she dressed.
Okay, so you admired that about her.
My mother was very classy, but very quiet, believe it or not. She yelled at me, but she was always very quiet, very ladylike.
Okay.
Very, but I just seemed to be kind of an annoyance. And I just never never could figure out what it was. And sometimes I would think that, well, maybe she just didn't want to be there. You know, my dad worked all the time, and his thing back in that time was he was the man. He took care of the finances, and she took care of the house.
Okay.
So he did not want her to work.
Okay.
And sometimes I think there was frustration in that,
Okay.
because she was a person that really could have done a lot of different things.
So she almost felt, maybe, I don't know, but maybe she felt caged and
Yes.
felt like she wasn't able to do the things that she wanted to do because maybe she felt stuck at home.
Yes.
You know, and sometimes people will take it out on one child.
Yes.
And I've always wondered about that. What makes them pick out one child? Because did you feel like it was just you, or was all you are?
I felt like it was me.
It was just you. So I'm
It was
sure you
me.
probably wondered why you.
Right. I had 3 other sisters, and my last 2 sisters were a set of twins.
Okay.
And my parents had them when they were like really older.
Okay.
I'm like 15 years older than they are.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And so therefore, I don't know if that was a thing that really just set her off on a different thought patterns, whether she was coping with having these young children with these older children, and it was something that she really just didn't want to deal with.
So maybe she took out on you what she wanted to take out on him.
Yeah.
So maybe you were the one that she,
Yes.
unfortunately, you were the one that, she took it out on. Now, did that ever change at any time as you became like a teenager or a young adult or an adult, or married? Did it ever change, or did it always stay the same?
It never changed.
But did it do anything to you emotionally as you grew up? Did you ever feel held back because of it, or that, you couldn't develop certain relationships or bond with people in a certain way because of that?
I think the hindrance was her fear. Whatever was going on really didn't have anything to do with
you. It was about her.
It was about her and what she was dealing with.
So, but it didn't affect you as far as like female relationships, having girlfriends or people you could go talk to. Did it affect you in that way at all?
Well, here's the thing. My mother was very strict about having friends or going to the playground or playing with other kids in the neighborhood. That was very limited, because she really wanted to make sure that the interaction that you had with anyone else was controlled.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So even if I had a little friend to go visit, it was always timed, and you could only stay for so long. You had to be outside. And here's the thing, she would be on the other side of the street watching you, making sure that you didn't go past what her rules were. I never retaliated with the treatment that she gave me. I always felt like I always felt like this won't last always. It won't always be like this. If there was supposed to be a mother and daughter relationship, it wouldn't be her and I.
Okay.
For some reason, I just knew that there was something bigger or something else keeping that, I love my mom and I'm going to visit her and I want to be around her. No, I never had that.
You didn't have that?
I didn't have that.
Did you find that motherly figure in someone else?
Well, my aunt, which is Doris, my mother's sister, really, they knew. My grandmother knew, my aunts and uncles knew, they all knew that there was some strain there.
Okay.
So at times when she would be extreme in her behavior towards me, they would try to step in.
So they would step in,
and say, okay, you can't keep saying, you can't deny her just everyday stuff like a new pair of shoes, like
Right.
a new outfit for each. You can't keep doing that. So
Did you ever go talk to them about things, how you were feeling, or no? Did you keep that in?
I would talk to my uncle, which is my
uncle.
mother's younger brother,
Okay.
and he was very aware
Okay.
that there was absence.
So he was the one that you could talk to when you were
Yes.
feeling like wronged or
Yes.
mistreated.
And
was your uncle, but not your aunt or your grandmother,
No,
but your uncle.
no.
Why do you think that was? You felt like you could trust him more, or he would keep not your secret, but he would keep, what your thoughts were and he wouldn't tell her? Were you afraid that they might tell her and where he wouldn't?
Well, the thing that he would do is because even though he was the youngest in the family, he was the authoritative figure.
Oh, okay.
And he would step in and say, okay, now,
He was going to take up for you.
yeah, you're wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. So you
You're
went to
wrong.
the one that was going to step in, defend you,
Yes.
and protect you
Yes.
from her.
Right. So he would let her know, okay, I see you. You're not going to get to keep this up.
Okay. And how would you say, Francine, because you're such a, God has just truly saved you, and you're such a sweet and kind and very loyal person, and you're a wonderful mother and wonderful wife and a wonderful grandmother. So how would you say you turned your pain into power? Because you're one of the most pleasant people I've ever met. And then to hear your backstory like that, and then see how God just helped you, and helped you become this powerful woman. How did you turn your pain into power?
As time went on, I observed this constant being unhappy about nothing. There was, God blesses us according to who we are. And there was no, I would look and say, well, what are you complaining about? What are you so upset about? What are you so suspicious about? Why are you so fearful? What is there to be so upset about? Because what you're telling me that's ugly, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing beauty. So I just walked a different way.
That's power right there.
Yeah, because I kept hearing all the time, it won't
always be like this.
way.
So that's what turned your pain into power.
Yes.
Because you kept hearing, it won't always be, so I can take this step. It won't always be like this. I can take that step. It won't always be like this. Now I can climb. It won't
Yes.
always be like this. Now I can rise a little more. It won't always be like this. Now I can get ready for takeoff. It won't always, now I can
Yes.
fly, baby,
Yes,
So
it
yeah.
was the propellant. It was the very
Yeah.
thing that
Propelled you,
me
yeah.
to say,
Oh, that's beautiful.
life is wonderful. It's not sad. It's not always a judgment or a tension. It is good. And guess what? You can make it.
Yes.
And I was able to do that. And I progressed very well.
Yes, you did.
Because I had to make a decision. Either I'm going to be like that or I'm going to live.
And listen to that, people. She made a decision that she was either going to fall into that same trap and be like that, or she was going to live. She was going to be completely different. So I hope that you've been blessed, because I have truly been blessed and inspired by you, because like I told you, you're a beautiful person inside and out. And to hear, like I said, to hear that backstory and to, the pain that you must have felt as a child, because rejection never feels good to anybody.
No, it doesn't.
But to have that mindset even as a youngster,
Yes.
and not knowing that God was speaking to you back then, it won't always be like this.
Yes.
So you keep on keeping on, baby. You keep on, crawling.
Yes.
You keep on taking step by step.
Yes.
You keep on walking. You keep on running. You keep on flying.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't always be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And not knowing that was the Holy Spirit all the time. And here's the thing it's been so interesting to me is that when he says, I'll never leave you or forsake you, it is so true. He's always there.
Always.
Always. And even in the most worst of times, he's taking you to it and through it.
Yes.
And then, and after you come out from it, you turn and look and you go, wow, It's over.
My soul looks back and wonder how I got over it.
Yeah.
Right? When I tell you, I could literally feel the love talking to this kind gentleman about his mother. He had on his sharp blue shirt and his cool sunglasses, but don't let that fool you. James Dunlap loves his mama. He is a mama's boy.
I'm the son of a police officer. My dad worked nights all the time, so it was often my mother and I always hanging out together, doing things together, whether it be going to the grocery store, whether it be handling banking things, whether it be if she took me to work with her. She used to work as a bookkeeper, for a business. So I was always with her everywhere I went. Everywhere she went, I was with her. So it was always me and her.
It was always you and her. So would you call yourself a mama's boy?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. I consider my mother to be my best friend. Uh, I can always tell her about my hopes, my dreams, my failures. She will give me advice, or she'll praise me, or tell me if I'm in the wrong. She always is honest, but she's always been honest with me. So she's always been a best friend of mine.
As a son, I heard you say that she taught you how to do bookkeeping and that kind of thing. So, did she teach you how to cook and clean and all those things, or did she do everything for you?
She taught me how to do those things. She always wanted to make sure that I was independent. She taught me how to cook, how to clean, how to grocery shop, how to take care of my family, how to be, a nurse if need be, things like that. So I could make sure I could take care of myself and others. My mother always wanted to make sure that I was independent, that I never depended on anyone for anything, and that she prepared me for this life, outside of her care, and to make sure that I could also grow as a man. That's really great because so many times as parents, a lot of times we'll tend to baby our children. We end up doing so much for them because so many times, we want things done and we want them done like we want them done. So a lot of times, rather than teach the children how to do it, you just do it yourself. And so, I think that's great that she would teach you how to do all these things so that you would know how to do them and then learn how to do them in your own way. Because everybody doesn't fold clothes the same way, right? Yes, ma'am. Actually, that was one of our biggest debates too. Is that because I didn't do it her way, she thought it might have been the wrong way until she trusted me that she instilled enough in me to do it in a similar way, but not necessarily hers, and she would accept that. Another thing I was wondering is when you decided that you wanted to marry Gina, were you nervous at all about, telling your parents and especially your mom, since you're a mama's boy, were you nervous at all about telling her that you were going to get married? No, I wasn't nervous because I felt Gina was a good woman for me. And I knew that my mother had prayed that she just wanted me to be happy. So I know that, if she saw me happy and she saw the woman that Gina was, that there would be no problems. And I was right. I was thinking about you earlier and thinking about, you experienced the loss of your father and your mother's husband. And during that time, did your relationship suffer at all, or did you get closer? How was it, how did that? How's your relationship with your mom now? We've gotten even closer. My mother has always been my rock. So I owed it to her during this time of our loss that I was hers. I'd be her rock. So I did everything that I could to handle all the business that I could, whether it be the funeral arrangements or insurance needs or canceling policies or anything like that. My mother taught me how to do all of those things by me witnessing what she did. So I was able to be a rock for her. That's great. That's what I was wondering because so many times you get it's such the opposite. So it's a blessing that you and your mother have remained close and are even closer during the loss of your beloved father. So that's good to hear.
Tell me what have you learned about your mother, like in dealing with difficult times, times when you're unsure about things. What have you learned from her? What values have you learned from her? Values that you learned, or just the way that she is, her demeanor, or how she handles things during difficult times.
I've learned to be as calm as I can, or to at least show that I am calm, and also to be kind. People deserve a benefit of the doubt most of the times in most situations, and to be kind and not be so quick to judge.
Oh, that's great. I've met your mom, and your mother is a sweetheart, and I picked up the kindness from her. So when you said that, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like his mom to me. Even though I don't know her, but just meeting her, I got that sense from her. So, all right, what are some of her favorite things?
She enjoys to paint. She's actually an artist. I actually have a couple of works of her, of abstract works of her that I hung on my house. She is, and I've always admired her for doing that because I am not an artist by any means. I cannot draw to save my life. So it's a wonderful thing to see her do it, to see her create something out of nothing. She is addicted to CCP, cookie, cakes, and pies. She loves sweets. She loves hanging out with. She loves her family. She loves her granddaughter a lot. She loves hanging out with her, and she just loves to look at older movies. She's an old movie head. Uh, I'm not as addicted to sweets as my mom, but I do enjoy sweets. And I always love spending time with my family.
Okay, James, when you have faced difficult times, what would be the best advice you would say that your mother uh, has given to you that helped you navigate through those difficult times in your life?
To be patient and to be flexible. Not everything is a reactionary decision. Not every decision you have to make has to be reactionary. Sometimes some patience can really go a long way. And to be flexible in your actions. Don't be just stationary and do things one way, the same way all the time. Just to be flexible and know when to learn how to be flexible and adapt.
I can, just talking to you, I can just tell the kind of relationship that you and your mother have, and it's very refreshing to hear of a relationship between a mother and a son like you and your mother have, especially in these days. It's very refreshing to see that, and I can feel the love. You can feel the love between you and your mom through the screen. You can feel the love, and I can just tell that's a really sweet, loving, and caring relationship. What type of advice would you give to young men today with their mothers? How they should treat their moms, how they should treat women, so on and so on. What would be your best advice as being such a good son and having such a good relationship with your mom? What would you say to a young man?
The relationship with your mother is the closest relationship that you have with God other than God himself. You treat your mother with honor and respect. And the way that you treat your mother will also be the guiding post of how you treat other women in your life. And you always want to give them with all the honor and reverence that they deserve.
I would always say, and I still believe that to this day, that I would tell young ladies to find out how a young man treats his mother. If a young man treats his mother good, first of all, you love God, right? That's number one. That's number one. But just the way a young man treats his mother says a lot about a young man and how he's going to treat you.
Hats up to all mothers that stay home and those who work.
Melvina Williams always has that pretty smile on her face with a nice big hug that makes you just feel all warm and fuzzy. Talking with her about her mother gave me some insight on the consistent stability you always see in Melvina. Let's take a look.
My mother is in her late 70s. Actually, she'll be 77 next month.
Oh, wonderful.
She is, let's see, maybe 3 out of 7 children. She's the
Okay.
third, very independent lady,
Okay.
beautiful, and just loves to make everybody feel good.
And tell me what is one of your favorite things to do with her as a child and then as an adult?
As a child, we cooked a lot.
You cooked a lot?
Mom used, yeah, we used to cook. That's how I learned how to cook.
Okay.
In the baby, which I am, I got the chance to watch everybody and learn that way. I had other chores, but even today, we just like to hang out and watch movies today, eat.
Oh, that's cute.
Likes to cook though, but I try to do most of it.
What do you most admire about your mother?
Her, I like her independence.
Mm-hmm.
Her independence is totally awesome. At times, it's too strong. Let us do things for her. She wants to do it all.
She wants to do it all, yeah. So, because she's so used to being so self-sufficient. Single mother, though,
Yep,
right, Mel? Being a single
yep,
mother, yeah. So, yeah, I get that.
yes.
That makes sense to me. Does she smile a lot like you do?
Oh, yes.
Can you recall any life-changing moments you observed and that you learned from?
Yeah, as I started growing up and everyone else was out of the house, so it was more her. Um, she kind of started leaning back a little bit, letting me take on more,
Mm-hmm.
allow me to go and pay those bills and pick up her checks and things like that. So her lifestyle was a little bit more lenient, more
Okay.
trustworthy as far as me being able to help because it was
Okay.
just her and I at home.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, you would say that you were termed spoiled.
Yeah,
You said, and I'm not ashamed to say it either.
I'm not. No,
I,
ma'am.
I, I love that. I absolutely love that. All right, Sister Melvina, what advice would you have for someone as far as transitioning in your relationship with your mother from a child to adult? Like you said, she was so independent. And so now, as she's gotten older and you're older, now you want her to kind of let up a little bit and you want to be able to help her. So how did you navigate that transition?
Yeah. I would say first, for me, everything is walking by faith. Having that communication, as long as you have an open communication with your mom, I think that the trust will be there as long as you stay truthful and you're doing the right thing. She will listen to you and you will listen to her, and everything navigates all in God's plan.
That's great advice. I love the advice about the trust, because you had built that trust from a young age and that trust continued. Then as she got older and she now needs to trust you more, she does. And so you haven't had that, big issue. Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you for that. So if you could think of one word to describe your mother, what would that word be?
Well, she's most definitely a phenomenal woman. So she's phenomenal.
They were the type of women, yes ma'am, they were the type of women that would just keep it pushing. Honestly, like my mom, she would those violent situations and would still get up and go to work. Like, okay, I still gotta provide, I still gotta take care of these kids. So
When tragedy strikes, you never know how you will react or how it will change your life. Jaleesa Powell's testimony takes us on her journey from tragedy to how she found joy. Jaleesa, how do you reflect on your birth
yes
mother?
ma'am.
Because I know you lost her to domestic violence. So how, when it comes to Mother's Day, how do you like, think about your mom on Mother's Day? Because Mother Trust raised you, but you had your mom in your life till you were like 12. So how do you reflect on your birth mother during Mother's Day?
During Mother's Day, I really reflect on just the good times that we had together, the time that we did spend together.
Mhm.
There were a lot of like just intimate moments where we would just sit together and just reflect on our days and stuff. So I just really think about the good times and just try to think of, how she could possibly be now
Mm,
and how proud she would be. So that's something
mm,
that kind of gives me like peace and comfort during Mother's Day time.
mm. Okay, yeah, I see that. That's good. I see that. That's good. And how, like, as a child, did you ever find Mother's Day difficult?
Oh yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
The year after she passed, like it was really difficult because there was a lot of
Mm,
changes and transitions,
mhm.
and of course, I had my family there to
Okay.
support us, but it was just kind of it was different because I was
Mhm.
used to making, I was young, so making
Mhm.
arts and crafts for my mom. But
Right.
then I was like, okay, like now I have to honor two or more people now.
Right, right. Because now
Hmm.
your natural mother is gone, and now your grandmother, is raising you like her child. Not are you only her grandchild, but as her child. So yeah. Let me ask you this, Jaleesa: did you ever feel conflicted on Mother's Day, like as you got older, and now Mother Trust is, like your mama? Did you ever feel any conflicted at all? About that, about honoring your grandmother as your mother when you had your mother, but your mother is gone. Did you ever feel any confliction there?
Sometimes yes, but I just try to take, like my grandma says, an attitude of gratitude
Mm-hmm.
and just really try to honor the women in my life who
Yes.
have been positive influences. So there were times where I was like, geez, like I wish I could do this for my own mama. But
Yeah.
outside of that, like I really try to appreciate the women who have poured into me
Yes.
all these years. So,
Yes. So, can you share a little bit with us how it was being raised by your grandmother, the experience that you have had being raised by your grandmother?
yes, ma'am. So, I was raised by my grandmother starting at age 12.
Mhm.
But before then, she had me almost every day. So she was like the babysitter.
Okay.
So whenever, I had to miss school or anything, I was with her. We would go to prayer meetings. We would go to funerals. We'll go to the hospital to pray for the saints. We would go just everywhere, all around Kansas City. So being raised by her was really an honor.
How did Mother Trust help you overcome, that traumatic event that you suffered at a very young age?
Well, she helped me basically by providing that structure that I needed and the
Mm-hmm.
stability. Also, when things first happened, she really just taught us and instruct us to really lean and depend on God because during that time, like it was a quick thing that happened.
You managed to stay just kind of like happy go lucky. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that has always been my personality.
Okay.
Just as a youth, just always trying to be optimistic no matter what, always pushing through no matter what. And I think that value was absolutely instilled in me, of course, by my birth mother and my
Mhm.
grandmother. They were the type of women, yes, ma'am, they were the type of women that would just keep it pushing. Honestly, like my mom, she would those violent situations and would still get up and go to work. Like, okay, I still gotta provide. I still gotta take care of these kids. So,
Wow,
then my
right.
grandma, like even through all of that, like my grandma was still active. She wasn't pastor then, but she was still active in our church and just still doing her missionary work and still trying to encourage others. So I just picked up on that and just tried to keep that in my pocket.
Yeah, it's just that push through spirit. Jaleesa, what would you say to someone that might be listening to this or will be listening to this, they have lost their mothers, how as a child, how to push through and to just be able to come out, an overcomer, with a smile on their face and with, like you said, an attitude of gratitude and just to keep it moving. What would you be your best advice to somebody that has had a similar experience like you did?
My first piece of advice would be to honor your emotions associated with however your mom passed. So just really kind of lean into those feelings of grief and sadness and really honor them. I know I kind of talked about pushing through, but a part of pushing through was me acknowledging that I was sad.
Yes, yes, yes,
Acknowledging
yes.
that the sting of death was there.
Mm-hmm.
So, first and foremost, just honor your emotions. If you are able to, a loved one who really says that they're there for you and you know that they're there for you, just talk to them. Just talk those feelings out. Also, due to my religious background, also just if you do attend church, keep going. Don't isolate. Keep going. If you're in worship and you find yourself sad about your mom and stuff, just really give that to God in that worship moment, in that worship experience. Just really give those emotions and those feelings to God. Also, remain consistent with healthy coping skills. That's really, really important. So that could be like coloring, journaling. Oh my gosh. I would just write everything, just reflecting on my day, because when I was younger, even though I had a bubbly personality, I still internalized a lot of things. So I would just write those things out. Also, some other coping skills could be reading, journaling, listening to Christian music, gospel music. Also, spending time with your loved ones, just really having a community and a village of people who care and love you.
Wow, this is
So,
good stuff, Jaleesa. I know this is going to help somebody. This is some good information. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. All right, now I have another two more questions, and then I'll be done. Um, I had three more questions actually. Are there any similarities between you and your grandmother?
oh my goodness. um, I think some things are similar. I would just say my approach and my love for people.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like just that whole thing of like just loving people despite how they may treat you or how they
Yes.
may just be maybe sometimes indifferent about you. Just
Okay.
really having a strong love for people and their well-being. Absolutely. I think
Okay.
that's like a way in which I'm absolutely similar. I
Okay.
would
And what
say
about your
as far
mom?
as my mom,
What
my
about
mom, I would say my mom, I think I'm similar to her as far as like sometimes I'm very shy.
okay.
My mom, she was very mild mannered. She didn't really speak up at all.
Okay.
Very passive in some ways. Yeah, she was. Oh my gosh, she was a sweetheart. I think also my relationship with God also is a reflection of my mom's example as well.
Great, Jaleesa. That is so great. Oh, I mean, I've had such a good time talking to you. And I feel like I've learned a lot about you. You know, I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot about
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Yeah, I feel like, you let us in, and thank you for just being so candid and organic and just transparent, because I just think that's so needed in these days to be able to share with others. And that's how we help each other, by just being transparent, and there's no
Yes,
false
ma'am.
things put on, but just being real. And thank you, Delisa, again for your time and for just sharing with us. And I know that someone is going to be helped by this interview. I was.